If it's your calling, it will keep on calling. Yeah, let that one sink in. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Valerie's Garden with me, your host, Valerie. Ever since I was in college, so when I was around the age of like 17, 18 maybe 18, 19, I have always wanted to have my own podcast. And I am 28 now, so it only took me 10 years to start this. What? Oh my gosh. And sometimes when I recognize this and I reflect on, where would this podcast be had I started when I really wanted to start way back when? Like, what would I have learned? How would I have grown? And to be honest, it does not matter. What matters is that it's here now and it's happening now, and that I actually decided to take action on this passion of mine and something that I've always wanted to do. When I lean into that energy, it excites me for the future of where my podcast can grow. And what fulfills me even more is knowing that I actually really love to be here to do this, to show up on camera, to speak to you and to share with you things I have learned from my life and my experiences and just all these little bits and pieces of wisdom that I've collected from my life. So with this example, I want to take it back to the quote I shared at the beginning of this podcast, which when I heard it, it flipped this switch in me, which was like, oh my gosh, this is what I'm meant to be doing. Because even though I didn't take action on this idea before, it has always come back up into my life. And I feel so grateful and excited to be here doing it. And even with all this time that has passed, I still feel lit up when I am doing this. And to be honest, I probably feel more excited now because I feel like I know myself better and I have lived my life enough to collect these experiences and stories and made mistakes and put myself out there and been so vulnerable and daring and courageous and just doing all of these things that put me outside of my comfort zone, which caused the most growth. So there is wisdom from just having lived life. And now that I have done so, I can speak about it and I can share with you. So I just want you to take a second and reflect for yourself what comes up for you when you reflect on your calling or your mission or purpose, if you will. Or if you have no idea, that is so okay too. A fresh slate is a beautiful place to be. You can then recognize what has been put onto you and that's not yours, that you don't want to carry and that you do not want your life to be centered around or focused on, or your life service and work to be. But if there is something that keeps coming up for you, don't ignore it. If you have not already taken action on this, please, I invite you to do something about it. And so with this podcast episode, I wanted to speak about being on my own path, at my own pace, on my own timeline, because I really feel that I am embodying that. I decided that I am here to fulfill my soul's mission, not society's expectations of me. I'm not playing that game. I can't. I can't. Like, I actually cannot. And when you get to this point in your life, when you decide you're not here to carry out other people's expectations of you, whether that is your mother's, your parents in general, or these societal expectations, you get to a place where it almost feels like you don't have a choice. You don't have a choice because there is no other choice but to fulfill what you most want to do. And when you get to that place, you make the decision. I strongly feel that decisions are portals. So when you decide that you're here to fulfill your soul's dreams and desires, I know that the universe will support you in that decision because it is what you are meant to do. You are meant to do it. You are meant to carry it out. And when you make this decision, it feels like you are truly living in alignment with your soul. And to paint a quick picture of what it feels like when you're not living in alignment with your soul, you might be going to your day job feeling exhausted, chronically fatigued, unfulfilled, frustrated. You feel like you're wasting time and like you're in this loop of a never-ending cycle that it feels like you can't break out of because you need the money and the safety and the security, but you really don't want to be there. Life is feeling pretty, not the best. It's not feeling magical. You probably feel dense, weighed down. But you, my friend, there's more. And if something brought you to this episode and this podcast, and you're listening to, I want to say this transmission, which is such a spiritual way of saying things. But if you are listening to this message, there is a reason that you are here. And it is because there is more and you are ready to step into that more and to make that decision. And when you are doing the things that fulfill your soul and living in alignment with that love within and the magic You feel energized, you feel excited, you feel expansive, you do feel magical as well. Synchronicities and signs appear. And yes, you will still feel uncomfortable at times because discomfort is part of the growth cycle. And once you can recognize that discomfort too and see that it is necessary for your expansion and growth, you can slowly become friends with it. And it's not as scary and big as it first seems. Like, okay, I recognize you now. But all of this to say, you feel like you are living in your purpose and walking in your purpose and serving others. I feel there are so many people who say they don't want to have a job. And yes, they would just love to, let's say, maybe travel or do nothing, hang out at home and just not work. But let me tell you something. I basically did a year of that in 2024. Maybe it's because I was going through one of the most difficult periods in my life, or maybe it's just because I wasn't living in alignment with my soul's truth and I wasn't doing anything to contribute to the world and to serve others and to serve myself. I am here to fulfill my soul's mission. Yes, sometimes my ego is like, yeah, having a stable job that guarantees me retirement benefits and many of these other things that society is like, yes, you do need this. And I know it would make my mama proud, but oh my gosh, I so deeply believe in another way. And for me, it is much more important to satiate my soul. For me personally, it is one of my greatest missions to pour more love into this world and to embody love and empower others and remind them through my being of who they are too, of who you are. For me, it is so important to be bold and courageous and have audacity and be so vulnerable and put myself out there. It is so important for me to also lead through example. So if I need to check myself at times, yeah, maybe my ego doesn't like it, but guess what? It needs to be done because strong leaders really aren't built through only great times and when things are easy going. They are built even more so when things aren't going right or if things are imperfect or if they need to be held accountable for something. I choose to be a leader in love. That is what it feels like my soul came here to be. No, it is not always easy to choose the unconventional path. I went to school and I got a double degree in neuroscience and psychology. I took pre-occupational therapy classes as well so that I could get a master's degree in OT. Also had a minor in health and wellness. I so deeply felt that I was going to be someone serving in a healthcare field. I really wanted to be an occupational therapist. Throughout the school year and during some summers, I spent much of my time shadowing and volunteering in hospitals in different healthcare settings. And at the time, this is what I felt I wanted to do. At least it felt like the logical choice and the most sensible thing to do because I spent all of this time in school studying and working towards this goal. And not only did it feel like the sensible choice, but my heart really did want to work with children who are born with developmental disabilities or post-accident patients or even the elderly. That felt like the path at the time for me. But COVID happened and things changed and I took a step back from it all. And I really do feel so grateful because there's an underlying theme of wanting to serve others. They're so pretty.
You're so pretty. Is this thing on?
It's definitely on. Wow, you smell so good too.
You better watch the podcast and be nice to her in the comments.
Yeah. Wait. This is incredible. They're so beautiful. Look at these.
She said to just pick them up and change the water every 2 days.
Okay, well, those are definitely going right there. What a lovely surprise. I think I was saying I took a step away from that. To be honest, I feel so grateful for the space that the pandemic allowed me to have to reflect on the direction I wanted to go in life. And I'm sure if I had chosen to be an OT, that would have been rewarding and fulfilling in its own way. But where I am right now feels so right. My deepest desires since I was younger have never changed. I've always wanted to create a podcast. I've always wanted to write a book, host retreats. And the more I have walked that path of what feels right and just kind of going for it. For example, the podcast topics. I've generally known what I've wanted to speak about, but now what I feel is so important to share are topics like self-trust and self-expression, creativity, being present, awareness, going after your dreams. These are the things that I love And these are the things I love to speak about. And in terms of uplifting others, sure, in a one-to-one connection, I've done that. But a piece that's part of my path now is having a run club and creating this space where I can not only physically, but mentally support others' growth and expansion through challenges like waking up early on a Saturday morning and running up these mountains. It's like I've created this space where I don't need to just tell someone, you're doing great, keep going. Yes, I'll say those things, but each individual and each athlete needs to pull that from within, and they can practice that on the trails. And they're the ones who have to set their alarm clocks at an early time so that they can be at run club when it's starting. I'm not there at their doors knocking saying, let's go, get up. It all comes from within them. And I know as I continue walking my path, more and more magic will unfold. And no, this is not just handed to me. I take action. I show up in the ways I need to show up. And the more I show up, the more return there is. And also, the more I show up, the more confidence I have in doing these things and the more self-belief I create. And just a reminder, the universe reflects back to you who you are and what you believe in. And so the more I believe in myself, I am mirrored with others who believe and support me too. Okay, enough about me. Let me leave you with this piece of advice to help you figure out and discover what your soul mission is. I love this question because it always puts things into perspective. If you could do anything, regardless of time and money, let's say you could choose to do anything, and you knew it was going to work out, what would you choose? What would it be? Anything, and dream big. If you prefer simplicity too, that is also very okay. But be honest with yourself. If we weren't looking at benefits and healthcare and what your parents expect and all of these other factors, what would you choose? And the second question I'll ask you is, what lights you up? What excites you? What are you passionate about doing? What specific topic? What field? What hobby? What that you do? And I know I've spoken about this before, but if you choose to go all in on this thing, even on the days that it seems more challenging, it'll be so much easier to show up. And if not easier, it'll be worth it. And you will know exactly why you are doing it. Alrighty, that is a wrap for today. I encourage you to go after your soul's mission. Have an absolutely incredible day and weekend and week, and I will see you on next week's episode. Bye.